Welcome to another episode of the Baseball Awakening Podcast, where we dive into the raw, unfiltered, unsexy side of player development. Get ready for some knowledge bombs with your host, Geoff Rottmayer.
Hey guys, this is Geoff Rottmayer. This is going to be part 2 of the college recruiting process that we started yesterday. And as you remember, or maybe you haven't, yesterday we talked about the first thing first, the things that we really had to understand before we started the process. We talked about a conversation that to have, a reality check type of conversation. We talked about the importance of an evaluation and then what college coaches are looking for. And then we talked about, once you have an understanding of the first thing first, the reality check, the evaluation, putting together a plan to improve your academic and your athletic skill sets. Then with all that, we talked about finding the right level. And then once you find the right level, we're talking about putting together a hot list. Okay, so go back and listen to that if you haven't. And today we're going to talk about, the making the video part, the sending the email, understanding if I'm being recruited or not, how to use your vidges, and then eventually, the scholarship. So, okay, so the video, again, so by this point you have been evaluated. You've accepted the level of play. You've understood what coaches are looking for. And now, with all that, you've made a hot list. These are the schools that you fit academically and athletically. So now it's time to put together a skill video. And this is going to be a pretty important part of the process. Remember, the goal of this is to get a coach to come watch you play a game live. Because very rarely will a coach offer a scholarship to a player they haven't seen in person. Okay, so just to understand this, just because you're getting emails or maybe even a phone call and you're attending their camp, that doesn't mean that they're truly recruiting you. So until they make an effort to come watch you play live, that's where they're going to make their final decision. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but so the video is going to be a huge part of this, and it kind of gets overlooked, and it typically gets done incorrectly. The first impression is going to matter. The video is going to help you get seen, and it's going to start the process of the beginning conversation with coaches. So again, remember, the goal is to get them to come watch you play live. Let's start with what not to do on these videos. And I'm going to go into depth on these a little bit later. So, one, don't make the video too long. We want 2 to 4 minutes. They don't want to watch a 15-minute video. So 2 to 4 minutes. If you leave in a lot of downtime. So if you're taking baths, if you're hitting and you're leaving in the throwback, the pre-step, all that, just leaving a lot of downtime in. Don't do that. Showing too many swings, 5 to 6 swings, 5, 6, 7, 8 swings. That's it. You don't need to have 20, 30 swings. Slow motion swings. They want to see how explosive you are. So the slow motion is not necessary. Too many pitches. Again, just 6, 7 pitches, about it. Too many slow motion. You don't need the slow motion. They want to see how explosive you are. They want to see how quick your hands are. Not including the contact information at the end. So most videos, you'll see it in the beginning, the contact information, and you want it in the beginning. But if you don't include it at the end, then you're forcing them to have to rewind, and that's not a good thing. You should have it at the end. They keep it simpler on them. The other thing is that you'll see some videos, there's some bad swings in there. There's errors. So make sure that you pick your best swing and your best fielding where you're not making mistakes. And then the other thing that you'll see sometimes is the camera that's shaking. Or you could do this, or you could not do a video at all. So that's not a good thing either. The other thing is you're listing all of your stats and all of your awards. Just you can name some, but don't put your entire resume on there. So those are the things not to do. So now, let before we kind of jump into this, let's talk about what the difference between a skilled video and a highlight video. So a skilled video is going to be in a practice setting, in a controlled environment. The highlight is going to be in a game setting with a bunch of chaos. So these coaches want to see a skill video. So not so much the highlight. Now you can include it, but they really just want to see you. They want to see your mechanics. They want to see your fundamentals. They want to see you in a controlled environment. So make sure you send in a skill video, not so much a highlight video. Okay, so let's talk about how the video should be structured. So let's just use an example of the pitcher. The pitcher, you're going to put your intro, and as soon as they play the video, they're going to be able to see the name, they're going to see the position, the class, the height and weight, your stats, your GPA. You're going to be able to see your contact details and phone number. Now, this could go over like two slides, all the contact stuff. Though you want to put in your high school, where you go to high school at. You want to put in your high school coach's name and contact. Put in your summer coach's name or contact, and maybe even your private instructor if you have one. Okay. So then what you want to do, you want to get the camera from the catcher's view and get about 4 to 5 throws. Now, the key to this is to put the radar gun behind there and show the radar gun to the camera so that these coaches know what you're really throwing. And then shoot over to the side and do about 4 to 5 throws. And then go to the back view and do about 4 or 5 throws. So make sure that you get kind of all the angles. Make sure you get the radar gun reading, and make sure you get the side. Make sure it's only about 4 to 5 throws. Don't overdo it. Leave the slow motion stuff out. And whenever they're throwing the pitch, it might be helpful for you in the video to say, "Hey, curveball, fastball," and just let the camera know what's coming, so the coaches can see that, or have a writing on the screen. Okay, so that's an example. So let's talk about maybe a hitter. Let's talk about that example. So again, when you hit play on the video, you're going to see the info stuff. So again, the position, the class, what graduation year, height, weight, stats, GPA, contact details. So with the high school, what high school you're at, the high school coach, summer coach, and then the private instructor. Again, so now with the hitting, you want to get about 6 to 8 swings from behind. And again, if you can get now with this, you want a live throwing. So if you can get exit ball speed reading, so a radar gun behind, get an idea of how hard guys are hitting the ball. Then you want the side view. So that's really about it on the hitting side. So then you're going to go out to the field. So a lot of guys, the infielders will show it from shortstop to allow to show athleticism and arm strength and stuff like that. So shortstop be a good place to go unless you're a first baseman or something like that. So again, just keep it short, man. These are all about 2 to 4 minutes. So now the question becomes, I've got all of these video clips. How should I structure? What part of the video should be first? And again, so the goal of this is to grab the coach's attention so that they can come watch you play. So you always need to start with what your strength and put that first. So if your strength is running, then the video of you running your 60 needs to be the first part of the video. If your strength is hitting, then hitting needs to be first. So always make sure that your strength is your first. And so let's talk a little bit about the 60 time. So any weakness that is really bad, kind of leave it off the video. Like a lot of guys are not really good with their 60 times. So if you run like a 8.5 60 when you need to be like under 7, Try to leave that part off the video and work on that. So now the question is, are these coaches going to watch this? And somebody within the program will watch it. It's got to get past them typically to make it to the coaches, and not in all cases. Sometimes they will all watch it, but so this is why it's important that it's done correctly. They're gonna watch it. If the video interests them and it matches the skill set level they're looking for, they're probably gonna go try and see you play live. But if it doesn't interest them, then you're able to, hopefully they'll give you that notice, and then you're able to scratch them off your list and then send them a thank you note, and then kind of replace that school, that program. Okay, so that's putting together the video. Make sure you do that right. It's important. There's a lot of samples on YouTube that you can go and check out that are really good. Leave the theme, leave the background noise off, the music and all that stuff. Just keep it 2 to 4 minutes, or 2 to 4 minutes, and just show them the goods and stop it. All right, now we've got the sending the email part. Okay, so now we've done everything up to this point. We've done the evaluation. We've accepted it. We've done we have the plan. We've done the right skill level. We made a hot list. We made a video. Now it's time to reach out to coaches. Okay, so everything that we've done up to now, it's leading up to this first contact with the coaches that we potentially want to go play for. So now, in your research, you went ahead and you gathered all of these coaches' email address. And so now with each email, we need to make sure that we personalize them. Use the right coach's name in the email. A lot of kids will mess up and send the wrong email to the wrong coach, and that's not a good idea. They don't like that. The other thing you need to remember is whenever you try to contact coaches, understand that there are rules that they have to follow. Just because they don't respond to you, maybe they legally can't. So don't, until you hear them until they have an opportunity to say, look, thank you, we're not interested for whatever reason, keep contacting, keep following up, keep in touch with them. Again, be proactive. They like that. They want you to pester them. But they just know that they're very limited on what they can do, whether they can reach back, especially if you're a younger guy. Okay, so just because they're not responding doesn't mean that they're not necessarily interested, though. But you just got to keep it up, keep the contact going. And so anyway, so your email is going to be very brief. You're going to introduce yourself. So the things you want to kind of include, I would always start with, do your research on the team and take something like, if they had a great weekend series, hey coach, you had a great weekend series, I got a chance to watch it online, and it was exciting. So just try to personalize the email to that individual program. And then you want to kind of introduce yourself. You want to say, hey, here's my name. Here's my position. Here's my graduation year. Here's the high school that I attend. I'm interested in your school, both academically and baseball, while including your GPA and your test scores. And then include your skill video, okay? And then, send that in. Very short, very brief. We don't need we don't need a paragraph after paragraph of email. Just do a short introduction. Give them the information that they want. So that's what position you play, what's your name, what graduation year, where you go to school, what's your GPA, and your skill video. You give them that, that's enough. That's enough for an introduction. And then if you haven't heard back, keep sending emails. Keep sending a follow-up email. So that's going to be like, hey, coach, I just wanted to follow up to the last email I sent you. I know you get a ton of emails. So I'm just reaching out and hope that you can kind of give me some feedback as to whether I'm the type of player that you're looking for in your graduation class. And then, of course, make sure you put your skill video on there again. And then again, keep doing that, because again, they are probably limited on what they can do. So don't give up until they say, no, we're not interested. Keep doing it, and they're going to encourage you to do that same thing. Keep being proactive. Keep doing everything you can to let them know that you want to play for their program. So now we head into the section of, am I being recruited? As you get into high school, you're going to start receiving a lot of emails from schools that want you to go to their Campton showcase. And just understand that does not mean that you're being recruited. And I wouldn't really recommend it unless you send an email. And what this email is if you get these emails, I would respond and just say, hey, coach, thank you for reaching out to me and inviting me to your camp. Right now, my parents and I are putting together a schedule and a budget for my upcoming baseball camp and stuff like that. And then ask these two questions. Where am I currently on in your recruiting depth chart? What position? Am I being considered for a scholarship to your upcoming whatever grad year class? So now we're starting to understand whether this is a generic email they send to everyone, or whether they are interested in me. So again, when you get the email from the coaches that ask you to come to a camp, hit respond and ask them, am I being recruited? Am I being considered for a scholarship? Okay. That's going to be important so that you're not wasting your money and stuff. Because you got to understand that these college coaches, the volunteer ones, they're not getting paid. So they tend to use some of these camps and showcases to pay their volunteer coaches. And a lot of parents are kind of falling for these. They're thinking that they're being recruited, and they're spending a lot of money. And honestly, I've seen some parents be really disappointed with the whole process. So, but let's say they respond and they say, yes, you're part of our recruiting class. You're being considered for a scholarship. Then it might be worth going. But if they respond with a generic answer like, we will use this camp to evaluate you to see if we're interested, then you're probably wasting your time, So, however, let's say you are on their list. I would suggest following this protocol to get the coaches to understand you. So, here's what you can do. You're going to sign up. I talked about this earlier yesterday. You're going to sign up for the campus showcase. You're going to send the coach an email saying, hey, coach, I've signed up. I'm going to be there. I'm excited to be there and then show you what I got. When you get there, you're going to shake his hand. You're going to look at him in the eye, and you're going to say, coach, I'm here. Thank you. Please, looking forward to your evaluation. And then again, at the end of the showcase, you're going to go up to that coach, shake his hand, and say, thank you for having him. Coach, thank you for having me here. Do you have any feedback that you can give me right now? And, he may or may not. And then you're going to go home and you're going to send a thank you email. So this is what we're trying to do, is get you to stand out. You've communicated with him before you got there, as soon as you got there, before you left, and as soon as you got home. Again, we're trying to get you to these coaches will remember the kids that do that, because nobody else can be doing that. So by this time, you've worked extremely hard, and now you're getting recruited, and these coaches are inviting you to their campus. So this is going to be a pretty important part of the process. This is the time for you to observe the culture of the team, the culture of the university, the culture of the town that it's in. And this is going to give you a good understanding of whether you can picture yourself there for the next 4 years, or 2 years if it's a JUCO route. So understand that, You always want to go to a place where you can see yourself being if you didn't play baseball. So that's what I tell guys is, can you see yourself here for the next 4 years if you didn't play baseball? And I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. So, because what happens is you see a lot of kids quit the team before their 4 years are up. They go to college and they may not like baseball as much as they thought they did. They may not like the structured routine, the schedule, the demand of the academic and athletics. So a lot of kids tend to quit and not make it all 4 years, and that's okay. That's for you. But the mindset has to be: if I were to quit the team or I got cut, could I live here for the next 4 to 5 years? And the best people to talk to is really the players. You're gonna go there. The coaches, they're gonna sell their program, but I would talk to the players. Make sure you have questions that you can ask them. Make sure you're really understanding what you're getting into if this was a program that you choose to go to, and have some questions ready for you, because it's always one of those things where you get there, you're kind of wild, and you tend to lose your kind of train of thought. So you need to have your questions made up before you go and bring them with you. So something like, just an example of a few questions. You can ask, what does a typical daily schedule look like for a player? So get an understanding of the fall, the winter, and then the spring. Or you could ask, what date do you usually have your recruiting class finalized by? You can ask, do you have players that play summer ball? You can ask, what do you look for in position players? What position do you see me playing within your program? What does the depth chart look like at my position? How would you describe your coaching style? What type of players succeed in your program? What are some of the common majors that your players are choosing to major in? What's the study hall tutoring like? Stuff like that. Just come up with a bunch of questions that you guys can have with you to make sure that you understand what everything's going to be like. And then after the visit, I would sit down and evaluate. I would grade things out. So I'm going to grade several different areas. The first one would be academic. Take the time to attend a class if possible. Ask the players that are on the team what their academic experience is like, what the balance between the school and baseball and just social activities. Ask them how many players are majoring in whatever you're majoring in. So measure the academic part. And then, another important part is the food. Have a meal at the dining hall if possible. Ask the players on the team what the food situation's like. And then you can, really sit down and think about the coaches. Make sure that you find out, who's working, who works with your position, and make sure that you get to spend time with them. Do you like their personality? Do you like their approach? Do the players enjoy playing for them? So kind of sit down and measure out, what you liked about the coach and what you didn't. And then, of course, you have the facility, the weight room. Did you like the weight room? The locker room, the field. So kind of evaluate that. Another thing you can evaluate would be that living situation. So check out the dorms if possible. Coaches if players can live off campus. And so sit down and really think about everything that you can think of for that program that's going to be important for you to understand. Because here's the thing you have to remember or realize is that baseball by far had the highest percentage of players that transfer. And I have a slide right here or a picture, and what I see is it's got the transfer for 2017 by sport, and for baseball, it's by far the highest at 19.9%. Though 19.9% of the kids have transferred, and a lot of that due to guys not doing their homework or not really understanding what they're getting into in the process. The numbers might have an impact with, kind of today's culture with kids jumping ships and stuff. But anyway, the most important part to understand is do your homework, study the team, really understand what you're getting into, really understand what they see in you, what their plans are for you, and make sure you understand all of that before you make a commitment. You don't want to be the guy that transfer. If they cut you, that's one thing, but you don't want to be the guy that gets there unprepared, didn't do your homework, only to leave at year 2. So now you've done everything up to this point. The scholarships are now coming in. You've done a great job being proactive for years. You've done a great job staying on top of your athletic development. You've done a great job staying on top of your academics. You've stayed in touch with coaches. You made visits. You did your homework. And now the offers are coming in. So remember, guys, you guys can do all of this on your own. Now, I understand it's overwhelming. There's a lot of pieces to it. But when you really sit down and just look at it and just break it down into chunks, focus on one thing at a time instead of the big thing, it's really not that tough to do. So, but we can't skip process. We can't skip steps. So the evaluation part is a very, very important part. So make sure you're doing the evaluation part and have that honest feedback before you're jumping the step. Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money, which is what we see all the time. And remember, as you guys are going through and looking at which programs you want to accept and which offer you want to accept, can't forget the financial aspect of it. So make sure you look at the financial side of things. Go get approved for your student loan or whatever, and make sure that it's doable before you commit to a program. So guys, that's the whole process. And this is over a course of 5 years. You can start when you're in 8th grade. So again, first thing first, we must understand a few things. This was day 1 yesterday. First thing first. So this is the process. I'm going to read it again. Here's the process again. First thing first, we must understand a few things before we talk about the process. Then you have your reality check. This is where we have a real conversation and a real understanding of ourselves as players and parents. Then we have the evaluation. This is a very important part because it's got to be based on truth and understanding. And then, of course, you're looking at what are they looking at? Where do I stand compared to what they're looking at? And then once you have that evaluation, you understand that you need to get with someone that can help you get better, help you develop your skills, and then help you develop academically. So that may be 2 or 3 different people that's part of that process, but find some people that will help you and that have a plan, that know what they're doing. And then from there, you have finding that right level, being honest with the level that you're at. Now, that doesn't mean, let's say you're evaluated as the D2 player. That doesn't mean that in the next step is you're trying to improve your skills and your academics to be a D1 player. That doesn't mean that can't happen. But for right now, while you're starting that process of putting yourself out there, start with the levels that you're at so that you can focus and not get so distracted and get rejected and stuff. So as you your skill set and your academics are improving, then you can start changing the hot list and start getting some upper programs in there. So that's the next part of the process, is that hot list. And then we're putting together the skill video. Again, the skill video, not the highlight video. The skill video is the in controlled environment at practice. Then from there, we're sending the email. We're letting them know. We're introducing ourselves. And then we have an understanding of, am I being recruited? And then how do I use my visit? And then the scholarship. So that's the whole process. I hope this is helpful. Understand the process. This is, again, if you break it down into chunks and look at one part at a time, it's not that hard. Now, you can be easily overwhelmed looking at this whole thing. So just break it down in chunks. I'd love to help you. If you need any further understanding, I can be emailed at thebaseballawakening@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I hope this helps.